Let's talk about a headline which has shocked the world. 1,400 dolphins have been slaughtered in a single day in the Faroe Islands of Denmark. Why? All in the name of a century-old tradition. The Grindad Rap, as it is called, is a practice whereby hunters surround the whales and then drive them into a bay to be beached and slaughtered. It's as hard to talk about as it is to look at. Welcome to WION's Climate Tracker. My name is Priyanka Sharma, and on this special broadcast we'll show you some of the deadly consequences of climate change and unchecked human encroachment. So let's get started. Global temperatures are rising, glaciers are shrinking, sea levels are rising at a time when climate change is threatening lives. An analysis carried out by the watchdog Climate Action Tracker has sounded an alarm. In its latest finding, it has discovered that none of the major world economies, including the G20, have a concrete climate plan that meets their obligation under the 2015 Paris Agreement. The watchdog analysed the policies of 36 countries as well as the 27-nation European Union and found that all major economies were way off the mark to contain global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. Rather than achieving the containing of these emissions, there are now concerns that these countries that together make up 80% of the world's emissions will not be able to do so. Meanwhile, Africa's Gambia was the only nation to abide by the 1.5 degree compatible global emission. The other country that has shown some improvements in containing global emissions is the United Kingdom. Now, according to a report, the UK's climate policy is nearly sufficient. But there are still many developed countries that have miserably failed to abide by the Paris Agreement on climate. The overall climate plans of the United States, the European Union and Japan are not sufficient to reach the 1.5 degree goal. Now, under the Paris Agreement, countries that pledge to cut their emissions are known as nationally determined contributions, also called NDCs. All these signatories were supposed to update the NDCs by July 31st this very year. And the countries to miss the deadline were India, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and not only this, but China, which is the world's biggest polluter, had announced a new target which it failed to submit to the UN. Now, there were also countries that submitted an updated NDC without actually increasing their pledge. To name some, Mexico and Brazil submitted to the same targets as they did in 2015. Meanwhile, the countries that have completely failed at the climate policy area are Australia, Brazil, Indonesia, Mexico, Switzerland and Vietnam. These nations have submitted the same or even less ambitious targets for 2030. Now, according to the UN climate change, more than 130 countries have pledged to cut emissions, out of which only a minuscule number of countries is on track to contain global warming. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.